Good morning, students. Today we are going to start lesson number 16, Air Around Us. Students, first tell me what is air? Air is a mixture of several gases. We cannot see or smell air, but air is everywhere around us. All the living things required air. Air is inside the human body as well as in the body of all other animals and birds. This is because air is necessary for breathing of all the living things. No living thing can survive without air. We can live without food and water for a few days, but we cannot live for more than few minutes without air. Air is present on the ground, on the top of trees and buildings, as well as high up in the sky. Air is present in a soil also. Some air is present even in the water of ponds, lakes, rivers, and ocean in the dissolved form. We cannot see air, but we can feel its presence when it starts moving. Moving air is called wind. Moving air make the clothes hanging on a clothesline sway. Also, when a fan is switched on, the air moved by the blades of the fan make the pages of an open book flutter back and forth. It is the moving air which make it possible for us to fly a kite in the sky. Now, just tell me what is atmosphere? Students, we live on the earth. Our earth is surrounded by a blanket of air or the envelope of air, and that envelope of air surrounding the earth is called atmosphere. The envelope means the blanket or the layer of air surround the earth is called atmosphere. The atmosphere extends up to many kilometers above the surface of earth. We live within the atmosphere of earth. Atmosphere is essential for life on earth. This is because the air of atmosphere provide oxygen gas for breathing by all the living organisms including us. It also maintain the temperature of earth and protect us from the ultraviolet means UV rays. As we go higher up in the atmosphere, the amount of air become less and less. The air at the top of very high mountain is so thin that it does not having enough oxygen for the people to breathe properly. So the people who climb high up in the mountains called mountaineers carry oxygen cylinders containing the oxygen gas with them. They breathe in oxygen from these cylinders so as to survive on the high mountains. Atmosphere is also responsible for maintaining the water cycle in nature. Now, we will see some important properties of air. First property is air is a colorless, tasteless and odorless gas. Air has a mass, and also air has a weight. Air occupy a space. Air dissolve in water. So, first property of air is invisible. See, air is present everywhere. We cannot see air, but we may notice its presence through the movement of the leaves of tree or the moving blades of windmill. The moving air is called wind. Second property of air is a matter. Students, matter means what? Matter means anything that has a mass means weight and occupy a space means capture a space is called matter. Let us find out whether air is a matter or not. See, blow up the two balloons till they are roughly of the same size. Tie them with a piece of thread to the both end of the ruler. and tie a string at the middle. Balance the balloon by moving the string inward till they are equally balanced. Now burst one of the balloon. What happened to the ruler? Which side goes up and which side remains down? Why did this happen? The weight of the air seems only very little. The weight of the whole column of the air that make up the earth's atmosphere weighed down on us all the time, and because we are born and adapted to this situation, we do not feel it. The above activities show that the air has a mass, means air is a matter. Then third property of air is a colorless, odorless and tasteless gas. Air is a colorless, we cannot see it. Air is tasteless too. Does air have a smell of its own? No. You must have experienced a pleasant smell on entering a hotel room, while another time you must have smelled bad air while passing an open garbage bin. How does air sometimes smell good and sometimes bad? Because the pure air has no any smell or odor. It is the presence of some other substance that impart an odor to air. Students, our next important point is the composition of air. Composition means what? Composition means what air is made up of. This is called the composition of air. We know that air is a gas. For a long time, people thought that the air was just a single gas. But it has now been proved by experiment that air is not a single gas. Air is a mixture of many gases. The major components of air is a nitrogen gas. Almost 4/5 of air is nitrogen gas. The second major component of air is oxygen. About 1/5 of air is oxygen gas. In addition to nitrogen and oxygen gases, air also contains a small amount of carbon dioxide, water vapor, and some other gases such as argon and helium, etc. The air also contains some dust particles. So simply we can describe the composition of air as follow. The nitrogen is 78%, oxygen gas is 21%, carbon dioxide, water vapor and other gas and dust particles are 1%. The composition of air can also represented with the help of pie chart. See in figure. The composition of air is not always exactly same. That composition changes slightly from place to place and season to season. For example, air over the industrial cities usually has a high amount of carbon dioxide in it than the air over an open space. The air in a coastal area may have more water vapor than inland area. The air also contains more water vapors in a rainy season. Similarly, the amount of dust in the air is more in windy places than other areas. Now, we will discuss all these components of air in detail. So, let us start with nitrogen. Nitrogen occupy nearly four-fifth of the space that is filled by the air. Nitrogen is a colorless, tasteless and odorless gas. Nitrogen gas is slightly soluble in water. Nitrogen gas is not essential for breathing or the respiration. Nitrogen gas neither burn itself nor support the process of burning. That is, nitrogen does not support the combustion. Nitrogen is very unreactive gas. In this respect, nitrogen is just a opposite of oxygen, which is very reactive gas. Nitrogen gas present in air important for living things. All the living things need nitrogen compound for their growth. The plant use nitrogen gas of the air to make the proteins. These proteins are used by the plant for their own growth as well as for the growth of human beings and other animals. The fertilizers also provide the nitrogen to the plant. It is also used to manufacture the drugs and dyes. Then second component is oxygen. One fifth of the air is made up of oxygen. Oxygen is also a colorless, tasteless and odorless gas. Oxygen gas is slightly soluble in water. Oxygen gas is essential for the breathing, means respiration. We can live for several days without food and water, but we will die very quickly without oxygen. So, oxygen present in the air is important for the living things. All the living things need oxygen for air for breathing. Oxygen gas does not burn itself, but it allows other things to burn in it. Oxygen is a supporter of burning. Oxygen is also necessary for the process of burning of the fuels such as the wood, coal, kerosene, petrol, and LPG. Oxygen supports the life and combustion. Then next component is a carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is present in a very small amount in atmosphere, but its presence is very important. Carbon dioxide is required by plant to carry out the process of photosynthesis. This process result in the production of food and release the oxygen. Carbon dioxide is also responsible for trapping the sun heat and it is responsible for the greenhouse effect. It is easily liquefiable. It can be solidified also at the low temperature. Solid carbon dioxide show the sublimation, that is, it convert into vapors without melting. This is the reason why it is called the dry ice and used as a refrigerator. It does not support the combustion and so it is used to extinguish the fire.